Welcome to Barriers Companies Can Overcome to Support Women in STEM, sponsored by Logitech. I'm your host, Kenna Johnson from the Channel Company. Women remain underrepresented in STEM fields, and fewer women are entering the tech field than ever before. To identify systemic issues that prevent women from rising to the top, Logitech, in partnership with Girls Who Code, released a co-branded report, What and Who is Holding Women Back in Tech. The report revealed the most influential breakthrough factors for women pursuing STEM careers and the key barriers. We will learn best practices and actionable tips for fostering and encouraging women in STEM careers. Today, we are joined by female leaders from Logitech, as well as women who have mastered their fields in STEM. First, we have Wei Shen Corey, Head of PWS Software Engineering at Logitech.
Hi, everyone. My name is Wei Shen Corey. I'm a head of software engineering of Logitech at the biggest business group called Personal Workspace, so as a PWS. I'm a Chinese and live in the UK for over 20 years. I started it as a computer science student, worked as a hands-on software engineer for 10 years before transitioning to a management role. I'm currently also a mother of a 2-year-old daughter. So when I started in Logitech, my little daughter was only 5 months old. I can see her growing as my career in Logitech. Again, a nice meeting, everyone.
Along with Yuko Nagakura, founder of Shequality and co-founder of World Coding Club.
Hi, I'm Yuko Nagakura, and I'm a student from Kyoto, Japan. After living in the US for 8 years, when I moved back to Japan, I was astounded by the differences in both the way women were treated and the feminist movement. I wanted to share what I saw, which prompted me to start Shequality, a platform where more than 100 articles have been published by young women from around the world. I've also recently been involved in organizing hackathons for middle and high school students through World Coding Club. Nice to meet everyone.
Finally, we have Ohilda Holgan, Corporate Channel Account Manager at Logitech.
Hello, everyone, and thank you. My name is Ohilda Holman. I am the channel manager for the East Coast for Logitech. I'm also a speaker, author, and education consultant. I am a 2021 Education Reform Now Leaders of Color Fellow. I'm also at Logitech, the global lead for Logi Amigos, which is our Latin ERG group. I am Afro-Latina, a New Yorker, and a well-proud daughter of a child with special needs, who she loves coding, gaming, design, and women who master. Thank you for having me.
I'm so glad to have you all here today. Let's just get started. Let's start with Wei. Can you give us a brief overview of Logitech MX?
Logitech always strive to champion gender balance, diversity, and equity globally. So these efforts are driven by both our corporate as well as each business units as initiatives. Then MX is quite a famous flagship business unit in Logitech and always tries the best to equip both for women and men the tools they need to achieve peak performance and fulfill their aspiration at work. What we're doing as MX for women in technology, to drive this company gender balance strategy we have, MX is also being positioned as a solution relevant to women, but also at the same time trying to put all efforts in systematically to push over the industry-wide the movement for women entering the software industry. So that's the kind of where our mission is very aligned from the top down and bottom up entirely.
Let's go to Yuko. You're part of the Women Who Master program. Tell us about the program and how are you breaking barriers in the tech industry?
Women Who Master is a program by Logitech that highlights women who have mastered their fields in STEM. It aims to provide girls with powerful aspirations and career tips. As a part of the series, Logitech also partners with nonprofits like Girls Who Code and TechLit Africa to support the next generation of women in STEM and equip them with the tools they need to thrive. I was lucky enough to be featured in the series in December, where I shared my journey in STEM. One of the main focuses of the article was on World Coding Club. I originally started World Coding Club with another girl to create the opportunities I had in the US to learn coding and be surrounded by fun tech for students in Japan. Over time, our goal has shifted to creating a place for students around the world to explore technology and coding in a safe space, no matter their gender or location.
Let's move to Ohilda. Tell us about the report, What and who is holding women back in tech, and what are the key takeaways?
So at Logitech, supporting women is extremely important, especially supporting women of color, supporting women in tech. And we surveyed, the Logitech MX team surveyed people currently working in tech and IT, revealing 5 key moments that determine whether girls and women choose a career in computer science. So in these 5 moments, some of the findings were that women would either break through those barriers or are blocked by them. Replicating the breakthroughs in more schools, workplaces, and in society at large will support the success of having more of these women and girls in our industry. And for additional insight on the methodology, we do have our Women Who Master page at Logitech, and you can see the full report there. And it has amazing takeaways so that we can really support and bridge some of those gaps. And some of those takeaways, which, many of us may or may not be aware, are very surprising in that early cheerleaders really matter. Who are those real life role models, whether they're your teachers, parents, maybe it's an after school program? Passion, right? Are you passionate? Who was passionate in those girls or those women's lives while they were entering this sector? Who supported them? And then once the women that did choose to go into tech, once they were hired, was it meaningful for them, right? That was very important. If the role meant something to society, contributed in some way, that really mattered to the women that continued in this field. Also, really having access to women-friendly communities. Support helps women persist, grow, ensuring that those women have those spaces where they feel that sense of community within technology, within computer science, within the science fields, as well as having some men who really made a difference, who took meaningful action to support them. Those are kind of the main takeaways, but in all, the report is full of other ways that you can really go out and support women in tech.
The next question is for Yuko and Wei. We'll start with Yuko. As a leader, how do you create safe, supportive spaces for women on your team?
She Equality is an all-girls team, and World Coding Club is entirely women-led, so naturally the safe and supportive environment was already there to begin with. It was previously mentioned in the report, but women-friendly communities is really important, and I personally found that to be the case growing up as well. So I really hope that She Equality can become a safe space for both writers and readers, and for World Coding Club to be a place where both volunteers and participants can feel supported. I think the most important thing for us has been to be regularly checking in with people, regardless of whether they express that there's a problem going on or not.
Wei, would you like to add to that?
I like to highlight 3 points. They are also very relevant between each other. The first one is to create a comfortable environment to allow women explore their own potential, which is something that very likely missing when we all grow up, right? So the own potential, what it is, that's important. The second one is to help build or even improve the self-confidence. Even sometimes we feel like we do have a confidence, but actually, many times when we're doubting ourselves, it's a lack of confidence. So there are lots of things that we can do to help in that area. And the third one is also relevant, but differently, is identifying our own differentiator from others, especially as a woman. When I started as a computer science student, I was one of only 2 female students in the whole grade of 100 students. That was back in China. But then I had my master's degree in the UK. It was a very similar situation, surprisingly too. So I was one of the 4 in the master's degree of around 100 students in the whole grade. Very often I try to match myself with others, especially others, most of them are males. But in the end, I do realize that I don't have to, right? So I'm good at just being myself. I'm different. That's why we work together. We're trying to cover up for each other. So that's why these 3 things are really important, because that's what the environment to help all the women, even minority, to grow much faster and further from where they are.
Wei, we'll stick with you for the next question. Based on your experience in the industry, how have you seen companies support women in tech?
I have to say, for the last 20 years, when I have been in the industry, that the supports provided by each company are really increasing significantly. So it's a whole pipe starting from hiring, starting to build community support when the employees are already at the workspace, also provide suitable opportunities for different skill set or different background, different gender, and also have a different way to go through the performance review, as well as giving back to community, right? So I have been reward judge in few quite famous the women events in the UK as well as in the US. So I do realize that many companies, when they share their success story, the outcome is really fantastic of how much they do provide to local schools, to community. And that's actually where the key drive is. So it's really top down in all the angles. And I think it's a group work, not just one company's job. It's a group work between each other. So that's what I have seen so far.
Wei, what do you recommend companies do to better support women in technical fields?
Back to what I've answered earlier, there's 3 points. So if I only highlight one of the 3, because they are very much interconnected between each other, the one to highlight is build self-confidence. It's really the key. That's also relating to find their own potential. You need to have the confidence and to find the potential. Once you find your own potential, you're becoming more confident. So that's like a very positive loop. And then this self-confidence also contributing to you understand why you're different, so what differentiator you have to others, because that really helps you to becoming more and more confident by showing your strength to all the others. So this self-confidence is really the key. I would say it's not even for women, as I briefly highlighted, it's actually for all kind of, right? So for minority, different background, all different things we can apply for. Even in the male group, we also have a different background. So it's not really just for women overall.
Oh, Hilda, how can companies be more accessible and welcoming to women from the onset?
Everyone in the panel really did speak specifically to that, and I agree with everything they said. But in addition to what was said by Yuko and Wei, fostering a supportive culture really matters. Being welcoming, having the level playing field, right? Where the women come in and feel that they are still a part of the team, that their voices are heard, that they're respected. They could also address it by appealing more to women through how they write their job listings. I was on a panel with one of our Logitech leaders, and she said that during her interview, they were very technical, and she did get the role because she thought about the end goal, right? But sometimes, even if we have the skill set, technology can be intimidating, right? So writing it in a way, in job listings, in your recruitment experiences, going out to spaces where you're going to girls and women's groups, more training, and by that in your communities, maybe partnering with female organizations and community groups that focus on technology as well as welcoming women into the space, kind of, similar to the partnership that we have with Girls Who Code and many, many others that really are out there supporting us now more than ever. And I think that last but not least, creating opportunities like this, right? Like the channel company is doing right now, allowing us to speak on this issue, to realize that we can bridge the gap, that there is opportunity out there, that we are here, other women in technology, to support women, and that they will be supported once they reach out.
According to the report, high school is a tipping point for computer science studies. Yuko, can you explain to us what has been beneficial on your journey in tech?
So I would say from parents who encouraged my interest from a young age, or teachers who checked in with me when they saw that I was one of the only few girls in the class, or friends who I got to share the journey with, supportive environment was hands down the most beneficial thing for me.
Yuko, what barriers have you had to overcome along the way?
When it comes to barriers, I would definitely have to say being the only one in the room. I know this isn't specific to tech or computer science, but with STEM subjects in general, since elementary school, I've been the only girl or one of 3 or 4 girls in so many instances. In fact, I attended a STEM middle school, and for the entirety of 6th grade, I was the only girl in my entire grade, which was pretty shocking for me. This definitely contributes to feeling like an outsider, even if the environment isn't actually hostile. I personally know so many girls who've given up this career path just for this reason.
Wei, would you like to add to that?
Very, very similar story as you go, but also in a different way as even alone in a career. Very often I was the only one, and in a later stage becoming one of the only two in a career force, but actually it became much, much better gradually. But I also do realize that in the tech field, the senior leadership being the woman is also not the majority, is staying in the minority side. I remember when I was in a banking company before, I was one of the only senior engineer manager, if I can remember, around 12 of them. So these are kind of I call it one as a barrier, but the other side, I have to say that it also encouraged me to go further, right? So it's very difficult, but I guess you and I probably have a similar point here is sometimes we just feel like we got to prove it. But of course, the other side, we don't have to prove that we can do it. In theory, we should just naturally do it. So then that's back to the community and working with the mentor, working with the right friends and a group to help us to achieve further from where we were.
Thank you to all our panelists for joining us today. We hope you found this conversation insightful and encourage you to read Logitech's report, What and Who is Holding Women Back in Tech, to learn more on how companies can encourage women in STEM. We invite you all to join Logitech MX in closing the gender gap in tech. For the Channel Company, I'm Kenna Johnson.